Straight Talk audience. This is AI Gonzalo Lira, and this is Straight Talk Cyber Cafe Edition.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Delivery Report with Professor Red Pill and co-host Adam Maxwell. Good stuff. The Sigma leadership style and the question of all questions. Is Trump a Sigma leader? Adam, take it away.
Thank you for having me on this 27th of August, 2025. Leadership. It is archetypal. It is necessary for anything great, anything of value and virtue requires organization and leadership, even as an individual, but certainly as a team. So I understand this is kind of either one of your main or perhaps your main research topic. I'm very excited to be learning more about the Sigma leadership style and especially your analysis on Trump. And I understand you've got some exciting news to share.
Yeah. Basically, for my local subscribers, links in the description. And on Rumble, you can click the join button. It'll take you right to locals. As you can see with the cursor that's going on now, Rumble 3 gets you $3 off your first month's membership, and local subscribers get access to a full copy of the book that I just published. That book being Unleash Your Inner Sigma Male, a leadership guide, written by myself, Professor Red Pill. So this book in particular, I gathered, I think about at least 30 papers that I'd written over the course of my doctoral program, as well as like other papers in the past relating to leadership. I condensed them, and I kind of created my own type of leadership style based on the Sigma male and Stoicism. And I'm calling it the Sigma leadership style. I don't think any other leadership expert, doctor in the field that I'm teaching in has anything remotely close to it. I mean, there are a lot of different leadership styles. They are based on certain characteristics and certain types of concepts and theory. But this one, when I really, I'll go ahead and take this off real quick, but basically what I really thought about, like, what a Sigma male is, because this is kind of the, like, thing that's going around the internet, Sigma male, you know, with Andrew Tate and stuff like that. But I don't think Andrew Tate even understands what a Sigma male is. I really didn't understand it completely 3 years ago when we started this podcast, and the Telegram group, Gonzalo Lira Legacy Group now. Originally, it was the Gentlemen's Club. Was started before COVID, and we've changed the name in honor of Gonzalo Lira to refer to it as the Gonzalo Lira Legacy Group. He was a member at one time, and he came on at voice chat. We've published that on the podcast several times. When he was a guest, but more or less, like, the Sigma male mindset or Sigma male, like, leadership style it's a collection of different types of leadership principles. So, like, I put in the book transformational leadership style, servant leadership style, and authentic leadership style. And these are kind of three of the main, and like I said, both of these, the authentic and servant leadership style, they segue into each other. So they share a lot of similar characteristics. The authentic leadership style and the servant leadership style, I consider them as the authentic leadership style is basically a secular type of leadership style versus the servant leadership style is more faith-based, a faith-based religious style. Or sorry, leadership style. So like generally you'll see with a servant leader, you're going to see that more of like clergy, religious leaders. Freemasons are their pillars, or their basic. The concept of Freemasonry is based on servant leadership. And as far as authentic leadership, you do see this. Generally, authentic leaders are what you see like in the military. You see it in a lot of public office, and not necessarily politicians, because politicians can be authoritarian and classic and all kinds of others. All of that. But authentic, generally, you'll see as they're generally leaders that are in command and stuff like that. And usually they rise to the ranks. So a lot of times you will see it in the military, an authentic leadership style. Definitely they come from the lower ranks and they work their way up into leadership. Terrence Popp's an excellent example of an authentic leader. You could even say he's almost servant leader, but I would definitely say that he's a Sigma Male leadership style. If you read the book, and you should read the book, if you read it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. If those that have followed Terrence Popp, like being ex-military and podcaster and things of that nature, definitely, yeah, he's in that realm, and I am dedicating him a book as well. I'm going to send him a copy when it's published. Like as soon as it's published, it's pretty much done. I just have to fine tune a little bit, and it'll be published tomorrow, probably tonight or tomorrow. I'll be publishing on Locals, and I'll be sending the copies out to people that I promised as well. But more or less, like the Sigma leadership style is a collection of authentic servant leadership and some transformational. A lot of the leaders that I did mention in there was like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Tesla was in there. I'm forgetting maybe a couple that were in there that there's a couple of case studies that I did with Netflix and Blockbuster Video, Facebook. So it's rather interesting. Like I said, you should read the book. It's really good. I worked really hard on it. I've been working on it for about 2 years now, and it's finally done. So yeah, any questions, Adam, on it though, or do you want to continue on to our topic is?
No, I got quite a few questions. The first is you talk about transformational, servant, authentic. Are these all kind of traits of the one Sigma leadership style, or I understand maybe if you really want to understand what these are, it's all in this book. But maybe you can just give a bit more of just a brief 30 seconds on each of those.
As far as like servant leadership, authentic leadership, and
transformational, yeah. So are they all Sigma leadership style? Are they traits or flavors of the one style, or are they their own styles? And again, 30 seconds on each.
Yeah, sure. So like servant leadership, it's a leadership style that was first coined by Greenleaf. And servant leadership is basically, as it said, it's a leader that serves his community, his or her community, if you will. Generally, it's clergy. It's religious based. So Greenleaf was speaking from a Christian, Christianity or Christian background. But yeah, like the best example of a servant leader is like Freemasons are definitely servant leaders. That's the pillars of their core system. But a servant leader, like I said, they have the characteristics of similar to authentic leadership, and like I said, they do segue. So like transparency, effective communication, and community. So with authentic leadership, I'll lead into that. Authentic leadership, the main thing is what it is. Authentic, it's transparent. So it's transparency, self-awareness, and again, effective communication. And there's a couple other characteristics that are involved in authentic leadership as well. And then you have transformational. Transformational isn't necessarily, they have some similarity and characteristics between both servant and authentic leadership, but it's completely its own category altogether. And generally, transformational leaders are typically, you'll see in like .com or like technical fields or technical companies. And that's why I mentioned Bezos and Musk, because they are more transformational style. They do have some authentic leadership traits, but for the most part, they're more of the transformational. The best example of a transformational leader is Apple Computer. Steve Jobs is. If you were to look up transformational leader, what a transformational leadership style is, it would the picture would be of Steve Jobs. He's the classic example of what a transformational leadership style is, and basically transformational leadership style, and it's in the book. Usually deals with like innovation. They have a shared vision amongst the team or the organization, and they push individuals autonomously to be creative and instill personal mastery, and they develop this they kind of go hands off. I mean, but they still kind of, hey, this is where it is. They
It's
ask
more
questions.
CEO
and
than
motivate.
president.
Correct. That's you'll
Which
see.
is to say, CEO tends to be facing outwards,
Uh-huh.
focusing on the vision and the business and the growth, and the president of a company tends to be facing more inwards, dealing with the operation, running a smooth ship. Whereas the visionary, the CEO, he's the one that's decided that we're going to chart the course and is directing the progress.
Correct, and that's more authentic and servant leader because they tend to be more diplomatic, but they also share the characteristics with the transactional, or sorry, not transactional, but transformational. Basically, shared vision. They work with they care about their community, and they instill effective communication skills and that sort of thing. So the Sigma leadership style is basically a lot of there's a lot of similarities between the transformational, authentic, and servant leadership. That's why there's the three pillars in there, and the three pillars of Sigma leadership is transparency, self-awareness, and effective communication. And the thing is with the Sigma, with the Sigma leadership style is that they are effective communicators, but they are quiet. They're very observant, very analytical. So you will not see these type of individuals necessarily as CEOs, but they were very good CEO in the fact that you won't see them coming. And generally, you'll see a Sigma type leadership style in a private company as opposed to a publicly traded company, because again, the public traded company is going to want to see a face of someone who is more of like on the transformational, authentic, or servant leadership, because these are public figure type leaders. And the Sigma doesn't really lend to be in the public spotlight. They don't care to be well known. They're quietly confident. They're very knowledgeable, very skilled, very authentic, very self-aware. And the way that their effective communication works is that when they say stuff, it has deep meaning. And when they say something, and they've thought about it very well. And it's when people hear a Sigma leader talk, it's like, whoa, who was that? You know what I mean? Like, where'd you come up with that idea? And people respect what they say because they generally are the experts. The Sigma leader is someone who is the expert in the room 99% of the time. When they walk in the room, people know that's the expert. You're going to listen to what they say, and when they speak, they're speaking truth, and they hold no regard or reservation. It's just, hey, this is how it is. This is, I've done the research and the analytical. And also they are very collaborative as well. So they will work with other people that are authentic like them, like-minded like them. So when they're like the authentic leader and servant leader for that matter, they're going to ask other people in the room their advice. They're going to say, what are you thinking? Put them in that role where it's like, okay, more autonomously. And what's your thoughts on it? And then they're going to take it and they're going to say, okay, that makes sense. And if it's wrong, they're not going to say, oh, you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. They're not going to argue with that. They're going to take the best ideas, going to think inside of their minds quietly and say, yeah, okay, this makes sense, that makes sense, collaboratively. And they do work well. I would say that they do work well in project management as long as they are respected, and they generally are not going to be the leader. They're going to be one of the sub leaders, or they're going to be one of the more contributing persons. They do work well in project management. As a project manager, it's going to be difficult if the if the like-mindedness and the values are not shared amongst the Sigma leader, that's one of the downfalls. They're not fake. Authentic leaders are not fake as well. And they're not going to just say something just to make you feel good. You know what I mean? Versus like, you might see that with some transformational or servant leadership, but authentic and Sigma leaders generally are similar in that regard. Like I say, you got to read the book. It's all in there. I might be doing a second edition later on, after, I get response from people and, oh, this is interesting, or I get more questions, people ask more things, and as I do more research. But yeah, it is what it is.
You talked about Netflix and Blockbuster. Now, obviously, business is one of the main applications of leadership. It's where business is important. It's what gets things done, and to get things done, you require leadership. So, business is one way that you may look at this. Another would be maybe military. You look at Napoleon. You look at Zhukov. You look at any kind of generals. So you've got kind of history, you've got business. I'm sure there's other applications here. But you talked about Netflix and Blockbuster. Does this leadership style extend to kind of businesses or larger units, or is it just per personal or individual?
You will find Sigma leaders that rise to ranks and as CEOs, in business as well as in political capacity and military. And in my mind, it's all one the same. Post World War II, a lot of the executives, CEOs, and leaders, they didn't go to college. They didn't go to business school. They didn't know what the hell that was at that time. I'm sure they had business schools, but it wasn't like at the level it is now, where it's all like basically cookie cutter and talking about management and all these different isms and all of this stuff. Similar like when you studied you study economics, or you study the financial side of economics?
I studied economics with modules in finance and other, yeah.
So in that regard, like I said, there's a lot of theory based in that, and you're learning concepts and stuff like that, but a lot of it could be cookie cutter. I haven't studied economics in university, but well anyway, back to the story, back to the question. Post World War II, a lot of if you watch the movie, the show, what was the name of it? It's not it's about CEOs marketing people during the 1950s. I forget the name of the show.
Is it is it that one that's talking about like the Lucky Strikes?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a series on just go look it up real quick. But anyway, they basically post World War II, a lot of executives, a lot of businesses were hiring ex-military, ex-veterans. Oh, Mad Men, that's the word. That's it. Yeah, you got it. Billy Watts. Yeah, Mad Men. Anyway, so the show Mad Men, that's the best way to describe. Those were Sigma males. Those were Sigma males in the workplace. And if you really want to know what a Sigma male looks like, and well, not fictional, but if you want to know what a Sigma male looks like in television or media, go watch Mad Men. That is them to the T. And what you'll find is that military creates more Sigmas, I think, than any other type of sector other than business. Like business, if you compare business, politics, and military is where you're going to see a lot of your Sigma males. And the reason why is because Sigmas, they're not born, they're created. So anyone can become a Sigma. You have it inside you. That's the whole point, of the title, is unleash your inner Sigma male. I mean, I can't say it any more clear than that. I mean, basically, everybody has a Sigma male inside them. So I mean, it's just you learn how to become a Sigma male through adversity, overcoming adversity, through struggle. I mean, it's difficult to become a Sigma leader or Sigma male if you are not, if you've gone through life coasting through and you've been on easy street. It's really difficult. And that's why we're seeing with a lot of these politicians, you see with kings, you see in autocracy, I guess is how you would pronounce it. You see a lot of these individuals in politics, especially. That's why you won't see many Sigmas in politics, because a lot of politicians, they are given certain chances, they're groomed, or they've had the connections, and they get in these. It's a popularity contest, so they're given these positions either through connections, family connections, or through nepotism. And you will not see. You're just not going to see a Sigma male as a leader. The only way you're going to see a Sigma male as in a leadership position is during times of adversity, and times of adversity means a famine, a collapse, revolution, war, that sort of thing. That's why we saw a lot of Sigma males rise out during the 1950s. That's why America became, and Britain for that matter, became very powerful economic juggernauts during this period, because these men were forced to go to war. They were forced to fight for a cause that was created, that became, it is what it is. And they came back from the war. They were needing jobs. There was industry, and they needed to rebuild and create an economy. And this is where you saw your Sigma males. And there wasn't any of these, oh, I went to Harvard and I went to this and I did this and I have this degree and blah, 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 and underwire basket weaving and gender studies and blah, 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 blah. You didn't have that stuff. That came later during good times. That was created by the Sigmas, by the Sigma male leaders, or the Sigma leadership style. And like I said, what's the saying? Hard times create good time, or sorry, hard men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. That's a cycle, right? Yeah. That in a nutshell describes how you get Sigma males. And like I said, we're going to see, that's why we have the title as the Lone Wolf Leadership Rising. You're going to see some Sigma males and some Sigma leadership styles coming about in politics and business and in military. You've already seen it. We've already seen it just in the last decade during COVID and all this stuff, during crisis and things. And that's going to be in the book as well. I do mention that. But that's what I'm saying. Like, as we get close, as we can further along in this collapse, hashtag collapse 2025, you're just going to see more and more Sigma leaders arise out of the ashes. The rise in Phoenix. And that's basically the title of the podcast tonight. But more or less, this is what we're seeing. Yeah, we got some more questions here. So, whew. Okay, so Billy Watts was saying about Mad Men, that it's related to the Renaissance men. Maybe so. You're talking about Mad Men. I think it is what it is. During that era, like I said, the Great Generation, that era produced more stoic, and like I said, Sigma male. Like, this is Andrew Tate has no clue about, because this is rooted in philosophy and theory. It was Mario, who are the first co-host that was on the show here before Adam came on. We've had previous co-hosts throughout the times, just people from the group, but yeah, more or less, like he was like, hey, look into Stoicism, because it sounds like he's like, Stoicism definitely has its roots in the Sigma mentality. And yes, there's a lot of parallels within that philosophy. But like I said, it really comes down to difficult times, and the difficult times creates adversity, and adversity creates strong men. Very strong men. So we got some questions. Let me get into it. So the first one is so DC 2004, one of our avid followers, he says Trump isn't a Sigma, he is too narcissistic and egotistical to be a Sigma. I don't know, what are your thoughts on that, Adam? I'll give my thoughts.
It depends what you mean by Sigma leadership. I'd be interested to I'm very excited, anticipatory to read the book and understand. I do agree that Trump is narcissistic and egotistical. I kind of align with DC. I think that's valid critique, but you've obviously, you're obviously the one to ask about it.
No, I got you. So the Sigma leader, I would say they're not egotistical by any means. They actually despise egotistical people, because the whole purpose and point of Sigma or someone that's overcome adversity is that it's like this. You walk into a room, right? And you go and you kind of like that movie, was it Death of Stalin? Who was the I forget names and historical figures. The leader of the Red Army during the World War II. Again, we're going back to World War II. Who was the leader in the Red Army during World War II? I remember the name, but I don't know if I'm gonna mess up the pronunciation of it. You'll know.
Was it Zhukov?
I think it was Zukov.
Gorgo
He was.
Zhukov.
That's it. Yeah.
So I
So
think I mentioned earlier.
yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
I said a different one. Maybe I said a different name. Maybe I said
It's
Zhukov.
okay. It's a Russian name, and it's going to be difficult for us English speakers to pronounce it. But if you guys watch The Death of Stalin, it was a comedy, dark comedy. But it was he came in. It was played by the same character that was in Harry Potter series. That was the he was the Slytherin or whatever. I forget his name.
Severus Snape guy.
That's
Alan.
it. Yeah. So he plays the general, and he comes in and he's like, he pulls off his cloaks, and you see all the medals and like all this shit, and then they do a coup d'etat, and like a little soft coup d'etat within to basically get Khrushchev into power after Stalin's death, and it was just like a little coup that happened within the cabinet, and a lot of people were just completely clueless of what was going on. I don't know. I don't know what the truth is on that because it's a comedic narrative film, so like it is what it is. But anyway, the reality is that they portrayed him, I think, pretty well as and like I said, narratively in the film. That's a Sigma leader, dude. That's what a Sigma leader is. They're gonna come in the room and they're gonna be like, they're gonna know who is fake and gay, who's the bullshit artist, who's there to take advantage of everybody. They're gonna know because they've went through some hard times, and they can see through bullshit like it's like no joke. Like they can just see straight through the bullshit. I'm not saying that they're going to be like that with women per se, but with other men, definitely they're going to see right through the bullshit, 100%. That's the best way to describe it. That's why you see a lot of ex-military. They go into these, during good times, or the creation of good times out of hard times. They go into political leadership roles. They go into business leadership roles, and even clergy. And these men know what it takes to lead. They're not in those positions, and it's in the book. They don't fall into these leadership roles because they want to. They fall in these leadership roles because they have to, because they're led to those leadership roles, because they already have that leadership instinct in them. It's like obviously, hey man, you're I need you to lead this program, or I need you to lead this department. I need you to lead this country, the state. I need you to lead this clergy. I need you to lead this platoon, or this whatever. And they're pushed into those roles because they have the characteristics of a successful leader. And they have the effective communication skills, and they're just quiet confidence. Basically, they don't mess around. So yeah, that's the best way to describe it. I would say under that, Trump. But we do the background. I didn't talk about him in the book. I do talk about him on here. We talked about him on podcasts basically every week, but about his leadership strengths, economics, things of that nature. He's the current chief. He's pretty much the chief of the planet right now, the free world, so to speak. Making deals and art the steal. Yeah. So I wouldn't necessarily say he's a Sigma. I would say that he's probably closely related to possibly to authentic leadership, maybe, and some of his characteristics. But it's still hard for me to kind of like analyze him as a leader, what type of leadership style he has, because he has a lot of traits. He does have authoritarian type leadership traits as well. So it's difficult to really put him in. And sometimes leaders, they do share, when you're looking at these characteristics, it's like diagnosing an illness or something, or, what I mean? Like you're trying to come up with a formula, like a mental health disease, that you have all these different characteristics and symptoms, and you have to come up with a mental health diagnosis. You can only come up with one. You can't come up with two or three, because people have just one particular illness that you have to treat. I know this is, my family are all come from psychiatry and psychology, and that's the reason why I'm a Sigma, and the reason why I wrote this book, because it's all about psychology at the end of the day, right? So yeah, basically it's the same thing when you're trying to figure out what a type of leadership style somebody is, and more or less, I created this particular leadership style because there were so many people that fell into these different characteristics and categories, and they just did not meet servant leader. They did not meet authentic leadership. They did not meet transformational leader. They had traits that are common with these, but it was like, no, they're Sigma. They're Sigma leaders. It's the best way to describe them. So I was like, no, I'm going to create a new leadership style. And I can do that as a professor in leadership, as a doctor in leadership. I can do this. And now with my peer reviewed, if the people in my field are like, that you have something to say there, let's do some studies on it and see if this is a legitimate leadership style. That's the next stage. And that's what I'm saying. There might be more books to come and more research, but I'm putting the hypothesis that, yeah, there is a particular type of leadership style that was not thought of. It is maybe were thought of, but they didn't have a name for it or characteristics or whatever. And that is the Sigma leadership style. But, yeah, I can't place Trump in any type of particular leadership style right now. We might even have to actually make his own type of leadership style called the Trump leadership style. And that might be the next book, by the way. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Go ahead.
That's the best leadership style.
It's the best leadership style. It is my leadership style. It's a beautiful, wonderful, great, stoic leadership style called the Trump leadership style. And that's me. I'm the only one that has it. Nobody else in the whole world. Like that, yeah. We could probably put Alex Jones in that one too. So, yeah, all right. So we got the next question. Unless you have any questions or you want to talk about anything more, we'll move on to the next question DC has. Actually, let me get to. I'll answer before I get into this one. I just want to answer a couple from Billy Watts. So Billy asked, during a crisis, there's no room for BSing. That's what Sigmas are put into leading positions. Yes, very much so, and I covered that already. But I'll revert back into that. Yeah, basically, it's no time for bullshitting, no time for BS. It's no faking gayness. You're in a crisis situation. There's a chapter dedicated just to crisis management and how Sigma leaders resonate in that particular type of leadership role. We actually do have a leadership style that is related to crisis management. I talked about because we're focusing on Sigma leadership, not any other type. It's just that Sigma leaders, they mold into these three types of leadership roles: transformational, servant, and authentic leadership. So basically, they could see through the BS, basically. I'm gonna skip DC's one question here. I'm gonna go to the last one about Billy Watts because we're gonna move on to the next question about particular leader. Where are we at? Oh, there it is. Question is, what if mega movement is Sigma and the head of the movement doesn't have to be Sigma? That's a very good question. I don't know if you want to cover that, Adam, if you think anything of that from like a political, geopolitical, or from an economic standpoint, because there is leadership concepts within economics and politics. What do you think?
Well, again, this goes back to the question I asked before: is can this leadership style apply only to individuals, or can it apply to institutions or even movements? I have my own opinion, but I'm going to leave it there for the moment and let you.
Yeah. All right, I'll delve into this. So I would say the mega movement is basically what it is. It's a movement. It's just like the French Revolution or like the hippie movement or any of these type of movements and isms and all of this stuff. It's just more noise. And that's what I talk about in the preface, is that the Sigma leadership style is someone who can see through the noise and the background. It's just noise. That's all that the mega movement is. It's something that was created by Roger Stone, going back to the Reagan administration, by the way. That's where it was first coined, by Roger Stone to the Reagan administration, was "Make America Great Again." And this was basically Reagan ran on it. And then after the election, he just said, oh, well, screw that. So Trump's like, I want to renaissance the Reagan administration and Reagan economics. That's why I said his playbook is based on Reagan economics. That's why he's doing exactly the same stuff that Reagan did in his administration. I said, watch for this. People were like, how are you able to predict all these things and the timeline and all this stuff? It's like, well, he's got 4 years. He's got 4 years to get things done. He's got the cards. He wants to play the cards. And it's going to move very quick. That's why it's 6 months. It's going to happen within a year. This is going to happen within a year. This is going to happen. But you could just go read the Reagan playbook, Reagan economics. He had two terms. Trump's got split in two. So he's going to move very quickly because Reagan also won by a landslide victory. He had control of the Senate, everything. Same thing Trump has in the second term. And you're going to see a lot of changes very quick because he's got now, 3 years almost? Yeah, 3 years left in the term. So he's got to move very quickly. And he's got a year left before midterm elections, basically. So he's got to move even faster. So you're going to see a lot of stuff happening at the end of 2025 and in 2026. As I said, collapse 2025. You can't make changes this fast and this great. And this is going to go into the next question. Are Sigma sprinters or marathon runners? I would say they are not sprinters because Sigmas have to think things through. They're deep thinkers. They're quiet, confident people. They focus on personal mastery. They focus on self-awareness, effective communication, as well as consistency and authenticity. So you're just not going to get a sprinter. The thing is with a Sigma, if you were to think of sprinter like crisis management, you go to a Sigma and they're like, yeah, I've already seen this before. I've already read on this. I already done all this. So the history often repeats itself. So it's like this happened, this happened, this happened, this is how they dealt with it. The odds probability is we can do this and it'll probably work. What do you guys think? What's going on? Do you guys think that we should, what are your ideas? We're going to spitball here. And then the Sigma's going to make a decision under certain crisis or certain types of issues and crisis management. It's in the book. You'll read it. But that's basically explaining that. And I just want to follow up because I really want to get back to that question. Are the sprinters in the role of a leader? Yeah. So sprinters, like I said, you have people that move quickly and move fast, but you have to understand that the military is a hurry up and wait scenario. That's the military. That's the government. And a lot of times it's business because you have this term called status quo. But more or less, the military gets orders from the government. The government is bureaucratic. It takes time. Things got to go in motion. They don't act very quickly. It takes, we saw rapid response under the Trump administration, for instance. 72 hours, they had boots on the ground and bombs over Iran within 72 hours. So that's the crisis management structure that's in policy in the United States. We covered several podcasts on it. I even did a live coffee with Professor Red Pill on it. Or news talk, basically, Red Pill, you know what I mean? Our news segment as well. Anyway, the reality is that, yeah, they, it's quiet and calculated, but if there's an emergency, like a NASA, for instance, you have Mission Control. Mission Control had probably my guess they had a lot of Sigmas in that organization during that time. And again, this is post-World War II. So there were a lot of Sigmas in a lot of different sectors of the world. This is the largest significance of Sigma leadership we saw. And probably won't see again for, maybe we might see it in the future, the next 5-10 years, maybe, from the millennial and Zoomer generation, Alpha. I think the Zoomer generation is going to probably produce the most Sigmas. And millennials have already started producing some Sigmas, to be honest. But yeah, like basically Mission Control, it's like, hey, Houston, we have a problem. Then you have all these people working collaboratively in project management. This is where we got our original project management was from NASA. And they were working on, solutions to complex problems very quickly, very efficiently, using analytical and you remember what, Apollo 13? They got those guys home safely. That was mess ups. Because it was still a government agency and there's mess ups in government, obviously. Somebody misses something or whatever happens, but they found solutions. They got those astronauts home safely. That couldn't happen if you didn't have Sigmas, if you didn't have Sigma leadership. And like I said, Sigma leaders are not necessarily going to be in that top role. You're going to have Sigmas all throughout management and leadership. That's the same thing with authentic leadership. Is why they share similar characteristics in that. Because the next Sigma leader is going to come in that same role and the same role. So you're going to have like-minded people that are on the same wavelength, that share a common vision, common goal, especially in project management. That's why Sigma males and authentic leadership works really well in that type of organization or that type of structure. I want to get to this next question. Is Kim Jong-un a Sigma male? No, not even close. Kim Jong Un is a authoritarian leader, and he is never had to overcome adversity. He's a quite big boy. He's a quite big boy. He likes to eat, and I don't think there's an athletic bone in that guy's body. And like I said, Sigma males aren't necessarily big, strong type dudes. It's just that they've gone through a lot of adversities. That now, if Kim Jong Un was in a great war, let's say the Korean War, like 100 years ago, almost 100 years, shit. And he fought and he led a battle and he won and he became political leader as a result of that war. Then yes, I would say he shares characteristics with a Sigma male leadership style. But when your grandfather, father were the dictators or the unelected kings of a country, and you were given that position because of who your daddy is, kind of like Trump, then are you a Sigma? No, not at all. I'm not saying that there aren't kings or leaders that can become Sigmas. Alexander the Great is one of the greatest examples, textbook example of a authoritarian, not necessarily authoritarian, but a aristocratic or connected individual that became leader through pedigree, through nepotism. However, what do you know a lot about Adam? You have a lot on Alexander the Great. Your knowledge on it.
I'm quite knowledgeable.
History.
I'm not like.
Do you see the parallels with what I'm saying though on this?
But
I mean, I'm not saying expert, but I'm saying the parallels.
Alexander,
like he went through a lot of adversity to gain leadership, did he not?
Macedonia, his father Philip, he built up the Macedonian kingdom. It was kind of small. Philip made it quite big, like the region, and then Alexander took that regional power and made it into a world power, the largest the world had ever seen, going all the way,
and probably in history, and even today, modern times. Yeah,
I mean, you can talk about Mongolia and the British Empire, but a single man, a single lifetime, yes.
Right.
So he went from Macedonia, took over Greece, Thrace, Anatolia, the Middle East, Egypt, India, all the way to India, and he came back. He died in his 30s.
And his 30s. He accomplished this before he was 30 years old, guys. Accomplished it before he was 30 years old. But go ahead.
Widely regarded as one of the greatest men to ever live, ever.
Mm-hmm. And he was also ordained a god, a living god, by the way, from what I understand. Yes.
So I know a little bit about him. I went to the tomb of the Macedonian kings in very north Greece. Very, very nice, very cool. Whereas like his father and like some women and brothers buried or son. Very interesting stuff. Great military leader. A lot that's known about him is mythological. Like there's not really a lot, but his leadership was able to hold all of this together and indeed bring men from Macedonia all over the world, and you then replenish and you get more people to join in, etc. After his death, the fractured leadership of the Alexandrian Empire caused a deterioration. It splintered into 3 or 4 and then kind of disappeared from there. But this is why a lot of cities are called Alexandria.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My daughter's named Alexandria, their middle name after Alexander the Great. That being said, so you can see like what happens with the Sigma when the good times created by the Sigmas, and then afterwards there's hard times because everybody's like fat on the land because the Sigmas work their ass off in order to make everything prosperous because that's what they do. And the main thing with Alexander the Great, reason why I mentioned him is he came from I guess his father didn't have a good relationship with his father, and his father didn't want him to be king, I believe, or leader of
that's not what I've heard. I mean, could be, but Alexander the Great was tutored by Aristotle at the request of his father, King Philip II of Macedon. So this early education is
Or
believed
was
to have
this
shaped his worldview and informed his
that as
quest for
well?
knowledge and conquest. So
What
I'm curious.
about his mother? That was the relationship with his mother. I think was not very well. There was a lot of manipulation and stuff as well, right, with the mother, because I guess the mother was not legally married to the father. Like there was something with the mother and the father, and it would cause a lot of problems within his or basically social cognitive development and early childhood development. Because like a lot of Sigmas, they do have that in common. They had troubling child and like young adolescent. They were maybe middle child, or they're a neglected child, or just someone that the parents didn't really, you know what I
So
mean? There is
just
that as well.
just a quick look at Wikipedia.
Mhm.
Alexander, son of King of Macedon Philip II, and his fourth wife, Olympias, the daughter
Oh,
of the king of Epirus, which is a
uh-huh.
place in Greece. Philip had
Right.
7 or 8 wives. Olympias was his principal wife for some time, likely because she gave birth to Alexander. There's lots of legends around his birth and childhood. Um, Stories about Olympias and the virgin birth to Alexander's divine parentage.
Mhm.
But I'm not seeing immediately anything here. But I do have a question, which is
Yeah.
his Alexander. I'm sure certainly there's adversity when you go on a decade-long conquest from
Correct.
from the edge of Europe to the edge of conquering the entire known world that direction. But he had a very pedigreed education and upbringing. Is that important for Sigma leadership? Or, you talked about the lack of credentialism. You don't need to go to business school. You don't need to go to university.
Uh-huh.
Most Sigmas don't and have not. But what is, besides the credentialism, is education important?
Autonomous learning is important. And I'll explain what autonomous learning is someone that's self-taught. So you're learning through life experience, lifelong learning. It's in the book actually. So you're learning from observation of others. This is the social cognitive behavior, the social cognitive development. You're learning at an early age. Usually, there could be trauma in your childhood that changes your viewpoint of things. And it doesn't necessarily have to be from the parents. It could be that you went to a military academy, and like you were bullied or something like that. This sometimes creates a different viewpoint of the world, and like makes you stronger and that sort of thing. I'm not encouraging bullying, by the way. I'm against it, but I'm just saying like these things happen. You know what I mean? Something happened in your life. Maybe a woman neglected you, or something happened, and I'm not saying women's is going to create a Sigma male, but it's literally just something
Could be
happened
the
in your
trigger.
situation. It could be the trigger, and in your viewpoint. A lot of times, Sigma males are pretty intelligent people, and they're very
It could be
observant.
the trigger for you to then go, like, the agency is with the individual. So
Hmm.
it's not I don't, again, I have not yet read the book, but I don't think it's that the adversity or the circumstances actually create or produce the the leader, but it's the navigation through the adversity and how the individual is able to respond and chooses, and how he acts through that creates the conditions and then the transformation.
Correct. Yeah, and it's definitely a transformation, and it's definitely observational and analytical, and I mean, you're just going. Like I said, it is what it is. Sigma leaders are grown. They are created. They're not born. You can't be born a Sigma leader at all. Doesn't work that way. You're not ordained by
Here's a
God to become a Sigma leader, unless you're
here's a
Jesus, of
quote.
course.
Here's a quote I posted on my Telegram channel. The smartest people are all self-taught, even if they
Hmm.
went to school.
Correct. Correct. That is correcto mundo. Like I said, I went to good schools, but I also am an autonomous learner. I research all the time. You are like that too, Adam. So I mean, like Sigma's definitely they're just autonomous learners, man. Learn this concept, autonomous learning. It's in the book, so you'll read it. But like, yeah, that's the main thing is read a little bit every day, man. Try to learn something new every day. I think Rossman, he does repair videos. Is it Rossman? I think it is Rossman. He talks about at the end of his podcast, he's like, I hope you learned something. And that's the Sigma mentality in its thing. It's like, I hope you watch my video, my content, you at least learn something, because a Sigma's learning something every day. They're either through life experience, through adversity, through academia, through research, whatever. They're just lifelong learners, man. That's just how they are.
So I'd just like to pull it back to this to this question: are Sigma sprinters or marathon runners? When I had my startup company, I had one of the leaders of executive leadership and like a director of an American Association of directors and of board of directors. That is so. A titan of management consulting, executive coach, consulting, etc. And the one phrase that certainly sticks, and he repeated often, is it is a marathon, not a sprint. That is to say, if you wish to achieve something, anything, it requires work. And so if you try and sprint and just try and get it out the park, it doesn't seem to really work. You can try it, you can run at an increased level, you can sprint, but it's because nothing's going to be over after the sprint. After 1 week, 2 weeks, it takes months, even years.
And if you're talking about if you're talking about politics, if you're talking about business, trying to sprint and make $1 billion the next day, you're going to prison. Plain simple. And the prison's full of a lot of betas, by the way. Prisons are filled to the brim of beta males. Beta! Yeah, like I would say 90% of them are beta. Maybe more, maybe 99%. But yeah, the prisons and the jails are full of beta males. Crying and got their babies' mamas and their mommies and daddies and like, please bail me out. Help me. Somebody help me. Sigma goes to that and he's out in and out in a few days because he's like, he shouldn't even be there. It was a fluke. Go ahead.
So we've talked about the certain aspects of the Sigma leadership style internally, externally, or comparatively. Is the Sigma leadership style compared with an alpha leadership or a beta leadership style?
There's no beta in leadership. I mean, like a beta could become a Sigma if they've overcome adversity and everything we've talked about with autonomous learning. Overcoming adversity, because like I said, Sigma started somewhere. So they probably started as a beta. I seriously doubt you're going to see an alpha become a Sigma because the alpha's already been God-given with great, wonderful genes and everything else. And they've never really had to overcome adversity. It's like a hot chick. You think a hot chick's ever had to overcome adversity, guys? What do you think, Adam? You think a hot chick's got to overcome adversity? She'll overcome adversity when she turns 50 years old and hits the wall, or 40 years old and hits the wall. Then she'll start overcoming adversity. But hot chick doesn't have to overcome adversity. Beta has to overcome adversity. And the betas that don't overcome adversity, they go on podcasts and they complain all the day. And, someone calls, some Sigma calls them the so-so incel. The Incel podcast. That's not the name of our podcast. Our podcast isn't the Incel podcast. No. Our podcast, the Sigma podcast. So, but like I said, like I had some beta traits when I was younger. Not necessarily beta, but like I wasn't as confident. I was young. I mean, you earn confidence through knowledge, through hard work, through overcoming adversity. So there was a time when I wasn't as confident as I am now, especially with the women's. And I became more hardened, over the years, and like I said, you're going to see a lot of your Sigmas become Sigmas, their late 20s, 30s, and 40s. Some that go into like combat and war and come out of, that 1,000-yard stare that they talk about. That's a Sigma mindset, man. You went through some you got that stare, just like you've gone beyond, actually accomplish something. When you accomplish something, you kind of, when you've accomplished something and you've accomplished something that's very difficult, climbing a mountain, whatever, and climbing a mountain is actually pretty narcissistic. Probably not going to see Sigmas try to do that. They could do it, just like, let's go do this. All right, cool. But what's the point? It's pointless. It's a very narcissistic, sport. But I mean, like, you saved someone's life, or you went through, I mean, like, it is what it is. You lost everything. And like I said, Trump's went bankrupt 3 times. Yeah, he may be a Sigma. I don't know. He's overcome 3 times, overcome bankruptcy 3 times, man. I mean, that's Sigma through and through. But like, especially when you have the banker's daddy and someone bailing you out, I mean, maybe not so much. But yeah, lose everything.
I thoroughly
Start
disagree with the mountain comment, but
no, I understand. I'm just this is an analogy, but there's Sigmas that do climb mountains, but like it's more of a personal like circle jerk session than it is so much of like an accomplishment in my mind. I mean, like, I'm not putting anybody down for like climbing mountains and shit. I mean, if you're climbing mountains to save people, hell yeah, dude. Sigma through and through, man. You're risking your life to save someone else's life. Hell yeah, definitely. And you got to learn that anyway. So I mean, yeah, I guess it's like, okay, I'm in the military. I'm learning to climb mountains, or I'm climbing mountains because one day I may come to the point where I'm going to be needed to help someone, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm not putting anybody down on that one. But yeah, Sigmas aren't going to take bragging rights. They're going to be humble, and they're going to do their thing, man. They're just like, hey, I did it. Oh well. You don't hear me talking about that, my rich daddy and mommy didn't help me through college. I had to work my way through college, go on a football scholarship and wrestling scholarship to pay for my education. I had to get help from Bill Gates, who paid my undergraduate tuition through the foundation. And and then, like I said, been working my way all through master's and PhD, and living alone during COVID for 4 years, no one talking to me, and busting my ass in order to do what I got. I mean, you don't hear me talk about that. I'm not going to sit here like some incel hour and be like, this and I did this and blah, blah, blah. Women won't sleep with me.
So
it is what it is. Go ahead.
Is Trump a Sigma leader?
I don't think so. Not at all. I think he's a decent leader. I think he's an okay leader. I'm not saying he's not the greatest leader of all time. He's the best of what we got. He's the lesser of two evils. He's the best leader for the situation. However, the Sigma leader that's going to come is going to come after Trump. I've been saying that.
Yeah. Are there
the next leader of the free world is going to be a Sigma leader. And you don't know who this person is yet, by the way. You don't know who they are, because you're going to be like, where the hell did that guy come from? I don't know who the hell this guy is. Like, who is this? Yeah, that's what's going to happen. He's going to come out of nowhere.
Would you say J.D. Vance is not the next Sigma leader of the free world?
It's very possible. Looking in his leadership style, he does have servant leadership style traits. I do know a little bit of his background. Apparently, he came from Appalachia, which is a very economically devastated area, high crime rate area, low opportunity for education, for a lot of different things. So, I mean, he has those traits already in overcoming adversity. However, he was given a lot of help. He was given a lot of help coming up. And even Tucker Carlson talks about the fact that, I don't really care. I mean, he's all right, but a lot of people talk about the fact that he was given a heads up, and the fact that Bill Gates gave me money, it didn't get me directly. I don't know the guy, but apparently he gave money to my school that I benefited from my scholarship. So in some way, shape, or form, I got some help, but it wasn't like someone was like, here's free money, I'm going to groom you to become this like great leader and like, podcaster and, book writer and professor and all this great shit. No, I did all that on my own, guys. I put the time in, worked my ass off, and I got the scars and all the scars emotionally and physically to show it. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I don't know. JD Vance could be that guy. I don't know. He's ex-military. He's got some military experience. Like I said, the other background I explained. He spoke to Europe and he did not have any concession at all. He was just like, dude, this is how it is. You guys are a bunch of pussies, and your country, your nation suck because you're not listening to reason, and stop being pussies and actually like lead, instead of like being all fake and gay about it. Very possible.
And finally,
he did come out of nowhere. Nobody knew who the fuck this guy was, and all of a sudden, this is Trump's VP. Like, who the fuck is JD Vance? Who the fuck is this guy? Nobody knew. That's what I'm saying. And obviously I said that the Sigma leader is going to be coming out of the millennial generation, and then eventually out of the Zoomer and Alpha. Most likely Zoomer and millennial, younger millennials, like my age or younger. I'm an old millennial, by the way, but like, yeah, you're going to see a lot of millennials start coming out. You won't see any. You're not going to see any Sigma leadership coming out of the boomers at all, and not out of the X Gen. I'm sorry, X Gen guys that follow us, but like, yeah, I don't see your generation, man. Oof, the crazy cat ladies of that generation are going to be horribly taken just to the cleaners, man. Anyway, go ahead, Adam. Sorry, we're getting close. We're already at that hour, so yeah, we need to wrap.
Yeah, I
this
was
up
just
a
going to
little
ask: are there any examples today of Sigma political leaders in the world outside of Trump, Vance?
No, Trump's not a Sigma leader. Vance possibly, but he's like I say, he's
I
more
mean,
that he
beyond-
has those servant leadership traits and some authentic leadership. He's hitting on it. We'll have to see. He's young. We'll have to see what happens with him, and if I could put him in that category, the Sigma male leadership style. But as far as politics, you're not going to see a lot of them. You're not going to see a lot of political Sigma males. You just don't see them because, like I said, these guys are like it's popularity contest. These guys network, and a lot of them are very shallow and fake and gay, and just that's not the Sigma. So you're not going to see them in politics. You'll see them in business. You'll see them in the military, most definitely. Most definitely, you'll see abundance of them in the military. But just in politics, maybe at a city council level, or as an attorney general, or maybe as a governor, possibly.
But what about in the world outside of America?
It's hard to say. I think.
I mean, Xi Jinping, for example.
No way in hell. No way in hell. He came up through privilege, bro. If anything, you would see it more in the Eastern European countries, maybe Russia. You would see some political leaders that have some Sigma leadership traits or characteristics, is how we call it. Characteristics, not so much traits, but anywhere where there was like serious economic devastation that they grew up under, and political strife, and all kinds of nasty shit. This is like Eastern Europe, the post-Soviet countries. That's where you would see these type of leaders come out of. Not necessarily saying Mr. P guy, but like, there are some people within Russian leadership that definitely I could say have some Sigma leadership traits. But go ahead, or characters.
So, yeah, I like. I think this is important to say. So first off, my understanding of Xi Jinping is, although he was a Red Prince, with the Cultural Revolution, he was thrown in prison. Was rendered, like
Did he die in prison? Did he die in prison?
He was rendered a farmer until a certain age, and he broke out and he worked his way from the bottom of the rank without abusing privilege, from the bottom of the rank of the Chinese Communist Party rising to the top. I don't know, I don't want to go too much into that.
Did he
did not die in prison.
Okay, then he was put there for political reasons, for like just a stunt. Who knows if he even went to jail? We don't even know.
Like, I'm talking about like 10 to 14 years old. I don't think anyone. But my point is, like, I don't know enough about it. I'm just saying this is my surface level understanding of the life history or trajectory of Xi Jinping. But what I did want to ask is about kind of elite support. So you said, who is JD Vance? He came out of nowhere. He's the third youngest vice president in U.S. history. Who is he? He's just some guy from Appalachia. Yes, he was in the military. He was, I think, the Navy or Marines.
He was a Marine. That's generally how you get in those. That's where you're gonna find Sigma male. Like, if Sigma male's in a political role, not necessarily in a business role, but in a political role, most definitely they came out of the military. That's how they got into that leadership role. That's where you'll find them. If they have that military background, you could say that they're hitting on that Sigma leadership style characteristics, definitely, where they've had to overcome some type of adversity. But continue, Adam. Sorry.
Just my understanding of JD Vance is he has a very long 14, 15, since 2011 history with Peter Thiel. That he's, again, he gained institutional power through, he went to law school, then worked for as a law clerk in a U.S. district court for Kentucky. This is after I think after his military career. Yes, he again joined some very large kind of investment firms.
Correct.
He then went on to found his own, co-founded Naria Capital with the backing from Peter Thiel, Eric Schmidt, and Mark Andreessen, raising tens of millions, call it $100 million in 2020 for this firm. So, you say, because you said Vance came out of nowhere, but also, he's got all this elite backing, institutional support. I mean, he was a very wealthy man himself, again, through venture capital and
that's how you become a
support.
politician. You got to self-fund like Trump did. JD Vance to an extent probably helps funded. These politicians it goes back to Rome, patricians and plebs. And you're not going to get into any high-ranking political role without money. And generally, it's self-funded, or you're connected to this particular network of people. So that again, like I said, you're rubbing shoulders with some slime, man, to get in these positions. But
in March 2021, Peter Thiel gave $10 million to Protect Ohio Values, a super PAC created in February to support a potential Vance candidacy. Robert Mercer also gave an undisclosed amount, and that's when he launched his Senate campaign. So rubbing shoulders with these big guys whom he had known for a decade by that point. Just my question is, we've talked about education.
Well, refer back to, as far as JD Vance, revert back to, and I'm not comparing him by any fucking spectrum at all, Alexander the Great. He was taught and mentored by Aristotle, one of the greatest minds probably of all time, really. JD Vance, like I said, it doesn't really matter. It's just, are these driven people? Do they meet the characteristics, even if they're rubbing shoulders with some greasy, slimy swamp creatures? Do they meet the characteristics of the Sigma leadership style, the Sigma grind set, the Sigma mindset? And if they do, then, it doesn't necessarily mean they're nasty, evil people, because most Sigmas are not. Most Sigma male or Sigma leadership, or Sigma leader rather, very virtuous. They have shared goals and vision and virtue, and they're very self-aware, and they generally are good people. They're hardworking people, and generally hardworking people are good people. When you've worked hard for something your whole life and accomplished something, you have a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Like I talked about with the red leader, the red general, Soviet Union during World War II. Can't pronounce the damn name, sorry. Medals, man. You got all the shrapnel. Just think of those medals, shrapnel. Those are wounds in your soul. The fat that you've burned off of your soul, as Hemingway once said. I mean, you don't think of those medals as like awards. Think of them as shrapnel that you carry with you the rest of your life. What's JD Vance? Like I said, what type of medals and what type of psychological shrapnel has he been carrying his whole life? Because he talks about it. He talked about the cat ladies. He talked about like the women's, and he's a passport bro, even though he's married an Indian woman, but that's fine. I mean, it's his taste. It's whatever. If he's happy, he's happy. And he's got a happy family. It's great. But he talks about it. He's like, yeah, these crazy cat ladies and like all this, and he's got some of them talking points of the red pill and the Sigma type mentality. So I mean, he could very well be a Sigma, and he may end up becoming the next leader of the free world and really making some great change, which is in the book. I didn't talk about JD Vance in particular. I didn't talk about really any political people. I talked about mostly business people, and that was it. Inventors, scientists, things of that nature. I didn't really talk about political leaders because, like I said, I don't necessarily see them as Sigma mindset or Sigma leaders. Continue, Adam. Sorry.
No, that was all I was asking. Just because we talked about adversity, education, individual power. So I wanted to know if you gain the capacity through others, you get these supporters, you get a great teacher, you receive a scholarship. How does that impact the Sigma leadership pipeline, I guess. But I think you've given it a...
Yeah, I don't think it really has much bearing other than the fact that you're put in a higher category, or you're given a lot of tools. But at the end of the day, you can give like a Ferrari to a driver and say go do this and go run around the track at 85 and let's hopefully you win. And if he has no clue what the hell he's doing, he ain't gonna do shit. He's gonna finish dead last. But if he's got the training and he's got the ambition and the wherewithal, he might come in first place. Just because you have the great tools and you have all the great stuff. I wrestled on a state ranked team and a nationally ranked team. I played on a national championship team, several. And the one thing that I could tell you about being in these type of team sports with the type of leadership is every week they found some type of fault in what we did. They were like, yeah, you messed up here. It's like, coach, we're like number one. Like nobody can beat us. I don't give a shit about that. You're only as good as the next match or the next game. So it's like, this is where your faults were. We'll work on it and discuss it. And then we'll continue from there. That's the Sigma male, the Sigma mindset, the Sigma leadership style. Always evolving, always working on yourself, self-awareness, consistency, lifelong learning. Continue, Adam, if you want.
I was just going to ask, in summary, what characteristics ought one to exhibit to be Sigma male? And you've just said there, self-awareness, accountability, consistency, improvement, and kind of a commitment to doing
Personal
well
mastery.
and excellency, as well as, I would say, humility, which is to say
Humility,
you can be confident. And you can, in fact, I'm a big fan of, I may be wrong, but I'm never in doubt, having self-confidence and assuredness in what you're doing. But it's important that first part of that phrase, I may be wrong. If you say I cannot be wrong, then that's a problem. If you refuse to accept that the potential for flaws here. I think this is one thing that Trump fails with. It goes into narcissism. Trump is always correct, of course. And if you oppose that, he's going to take it personally and it's going to go down.
He's not consistent. That's one of the main characteristics of an authentic leader, of a transformation. Well, not so much transformation, but servant or authentic leader, but definitely Sigma leader. Sigmas are consistent, guys. They're consistent. They follow through the end. They don't give up, man. They keep going and pursuing and pursuing. If they have a vision and a goal, they're going to achieve that goal some way, shape, or form. They're going to get it done. And this comes in the relationships as well. That's why it's really difficult for women to date Sigmas, man. See me in my situation. And the women don't want to leave the Sigma. They're just like, I can't get the Sigma. He's complicated and it pisses me off. But they don't want to leave the Sigma. I don't get it. They don't want to leave. They just keep coming back. The Sigma's like, oh, okay, all right, see you later. Bye. And just moves on. And then they're sure enough, I miss you. I want to come back. I love you. It's just, I moved on, woman. Leave me alone, devil woman. It's just how it is, man. It's because the Sigma's just like, dude, I got my vision. I got my aims and my goals. And if you're not going to be in with my battle plan and my life goal and just this vision or this project, I'm going to do it alone, man. If I have to, don't need you. I'll get it done. And the weak and the strong get divided by this. And that's why you see that Sigma lead, they lead the charge and they take that hill and everyone else gets killed off. Why? Because they have weakness in their heart, their soul, and they second guess themselves. They don't have confidence. I'm not saying that Sigmas are like Superman or anything like that, but they get the shit done. They'll get the work done. They're reliable. A lot of women like that shit. They like reliable people, consistent people. But when the Sigma realizes he's getting taken advantage of by the Weemians, he's like, hey, he's going to speak his mind. He's going to be like, hey, look, woman, this whole thing here, you want to do this as a transactional relationship or you want to do this and that. It's like, I need you to meet me in the middle. Because if not, it's like, we're going to have to restructure this social contract. You know what I mean? It's the same with any type of relationship, with business relationships, with professional relationships, anything. They're going to honor the contract. They are very honorable people, very virtuous. But I mean, at the same time, like I said, if they're seeing breach of contract, or they're seeing a breach of that social contract, or they're seeing that the person is not fulfilling their needs, they're going to talk to them and be like, hey, I need you to put in more, encourage them, do it with them. Sigma's like authentic leaders. They definitely are. They're in the battlefield with you, and they're like, hey, come on, they're supporting you. Come on, let's get this done. Let's do this. But eventually it's like, you're dead weight, bro. Do you want to continue? Do you not want to continue? You don't want to continue? I'm sorry, man. I gotta leave you. Gotta leave behind. I'll come back for you, or I'll send support to come get you. That sort of thing. Sorry about that. I'm a little tangent.
With all that, where can people find this book?
Link's going to be in the description. Right now, it's going to be on Locals, and you can read it for signing up for membership. Rumble 3 gets you 3 months off it gets you $3 off your first month's membership. And you'll get access to the book to read. Otherwise, I'm going to put it on Buy Me a Coffee, which is also, I think, in the links here too. And then you can purchase it there, your personal copy to download it. And that one, I haven't really decided what the price is on the book itself. I mean, it's pretty much priceless, but I really don't want to charge for it. I basically want to leave it for my Locals guys that actually are members. It is what it is, man. I'm just trying to help people. Just like Terrence, man. He tries to help people. He's not doing it because of the money. He's doing it because, he's a Sigma, man. Just like I am, and that's why we're like-minded. We all hang out together, and, we see the shared vision. We share these similar visions and goals, and that's it, man. Just trying to help people out. Like I said, all the donations, everything that everybody gives me from Locals, from anything, it gets put back into the podcast and everything, equipment, memberships, things like that. It's not, I don't spend that money. I just, like I said, I reinvest that back in. Anything I get from like, what is it, the advertising and stuff like that. Yeah, that I might keep. But like, as far as like anything donated, it definitely gets reinvested back into the podcast. So understand that you're not paying to give me money because I'm like this guy that needs it or anything. It's just, I like I said, and like, it is what it is. Yeah, I appreciate it. Adam, any closing thoughts, man? Because I'm just going to say, like, subscribe, join Locals, join Adam's Locals on Liberty Rising group, join our Telegram groups, Gonzalez Legacy group, official Professor Red Pill Telegram group. Join the Locals, the Liberty Rising Telegram group. All these links are in the description. Just read the description. You'll see everything. There's like, if you guys like the podcast that we're doing and think it's done very professionally, I use StreamYard for the time being. There's a link in there. You get a discount. Robinhood, if you're in America and you want to trade some crypto, stocks, whatever, you can get a free stock if you use my link. That's in there in the description. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You can buy me a coffee if you want, or, and I might put the book on there. I'm not sure yet. I'm not even sure if I'm going to publish it in Amazon or not. But it is going to be on Locals, and the link is in the description, and you can join by clicking on the button. That being said, that's all I'm going to say for my closing stuff, man. Anything you want to add, Adam?
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to reading the book and learning.
Right on. Let me see if I have any other questions here. Yeah, everything looks good. Thanks, guys, for joining us. And good night. Oh yeah, enjoy the song that I just made today. I might have to edit it for YouTube, but it'll be on Rumble. So if you want to listen to it, it'll be on there. So enjoy the closing song and credits, and y'all have a wonderful day, man. Keep it real.
Come gather round, people, and listen in close. The system is falling. It's feeding the host. The dollar is fading. The debt only grows. And the crash keeps on rolling. Everybody knows. For the collapse keeps on coming. They're printing forever. to infinity and beyond. While the workers keep slaving, the faithful are conned, the parasites feeding till the marrow is gone, and the leaders stay silent, just string us along. Philosophy's broken, the churches are weak, the people are hungry, no wisdom they seek. A man's only measured by the strength that he keeps, but the nation lies restless. The young stand in ashes, with nothing in hand. If we don't find the courage to rise and to stand, we'll drown in the ruins of a once promised land. Yes, the collapse keeps on coming,